I decided to do another Periscope walking my dogs. It's real sunny today, so I hope you can see me okay. Um, in light of things that's been happening and in light of what I talked about last night, I thought I would bring it up and kind of go reiterate about what I was talking about last night on the mark of the beast, because if we take the mark, we're more or less giving up our crown to the devil, and we don't want to do that, because he's going to try to steal our joy. He's going to steal our crown. He's going to take us to places where we don't want to go, and he's going to make us do things that we don't want to do, and we don't want that to happen. We need to, I'm sorry about the glare, we need to stay true to God and stay true to the Bible at all costs. I know there's some in here that may not understand about the mark of the beast and may not understand about the National Sunday Law, but I will help you as much as I can, and I will kind of go into what happened last night. I was giving the Periscope, and then my daughter accidentally called me. She was driving for some reason. She hit something on her phone, and it actually dialed me and took me out of the Periscope. So I want to kind of go back and talk about what I was talking about last night. We know that the mark of the beast is going to be a terrible time. We're going through perilous times now, and that mark of the beast is right around the corner. It's a lot closer than we even realize. And we want to be prepared at all costs. We don't want to take that mark. We want to stay true to God. Well, just a minute. She's got her leash is tied up around my leg. We want to stay true to God. We want to stay true to the Bible. And stay away from the mark of the beast. And for those that are going to church on Sunday, please, if you can, find a Sabbath-keeping church, because if you're going to church on Sunday when that time comes, you're going to take the mark and you're automatically lost. And we don't want that to happen, because unfortunately there's going to be a lot of people out there unsuspectingly taking the mark that don't realize it, and they're going to lose their salvation not knowing it. And the reason why is because the preachers are not preaching it. They're not talking about the book of Daniel. They're not talking about the book of Revelation, because they want their people to stay in the church. They don't want them to leave. And that's unfortunate. They're more concerned about the money aspect of it and how much money they're going to get in the collection plate than they are about the people's salvation and telling them the truth. And so, and I feel this way: if the congregation leaves, so be it. At least they can go somewhere where they can get the truth. And that's why I come on these Periscopes, is to try to help you see the truth for what it is, because it's prophecy. There's coming a day, if we don't speak up about it now, there's coming a day when we won't be able to anymore. So I need to preach on it as much as I can, because that day is coming where we're going to be taking our free speech. We don't now have free speech anymore. The Bible's going to be taken away from us. We're going to go to jail or whatever and we won't even have the internet anymore. We won't have Periscope probably either. So don't want that to happen. So we want to do everything we can now to try to get the word out, whether we hand out tracts or we do a Periscope like I'm doing, or go door to door, whatever. It's got to be able to get the word out to others and tell them about Jesus and tell them about what's to come. And I enjoy talking to other people. When I first started this, I wasn't sure how it was going to go, because I'm a person that's kind of on the shy side, and I was afraid to really show my face, because I figured, well, I'm not the best looking in the world, but I can't really help that. I got to take what God gave me. But I thought, it doesn't really matter what people think of me. It's only what God thinks of me that counts. And as long as He loves me, He doesn't think ill of me. Other people can if they want to. It doesn't really matter. But so I do enjoy doing these scopes and trying to get the message out to other people, because this world is a dying world, sick, dying world. There's so many people out there that you believe that we know don't know the truth, and we'll never know the truth unless they come in here or somebody tells them the truth. Gives them a Bible study or what have you, and gives them the truth and tells them what's going on. Because it's, like I said, it's unfortunate that the pastors won't tell the people anything because they're afraid to. And we got to speak out for the people. We have to speak out for the pastors. Speak up. And my pastor doesn't go around and doing what he should do either, although he does visit the sick and stuff like that. But he needs to get out a little bit more, and he needs to preach the word a little bit more. So I figure I'm going to help him along. He knows I do these periscopes on Sabbath for his church service, and he's all for it. He says, well, that's wonderful that I'm taking the initiative to get the message out to people that don't know what the message really is. And we as Adventists, we have a beautiful message. And we shouldn't be afraid to speak the message, because the message is all about Jesus and what he's done for us and what he will do for us. We're going to be in heaven, go to heaven someday, and we're going to spend eternity with him. And unless we follow his will, do what he asks us to do, and we tell others about him, they're not going to be there. Well, I know we want our family members there, and it's unfortunate that some of our family members are going to die without knowing the truth, or that they didn't want to accept the truth when it was presented before them. That's my in-laws. I'm not a judge now, but they didn't want to accept the truth when it was put out before them. They didn't like the Adventist church, and they told us that we fell hook, line, and sinker. And I'm just afraid that they're not going to make it. My father-in-law especially, he was a very evil man. And there's probably been a lot worse, but I dealt with him so much that I don't know if he's going to make it or not. And I just pray to God that he does. But if he doesn't, then I exactly know why he didn't. But we know there's going to come a day when we're going to go up in heaven, and we're going to go over the books. And somebody may be there that we didn't think was going to be there. And there's going to be family members that are not going to be there, that we are wondering where they went to. You know, why they didn't make it. Well, we'll be able to go through the books. We'll be able to figure out exactly why they didn't make it. And so we want to be able to get this message out as much as we can, especially to our family members, to our neighbors, anybody that we can come in contact with. We want to tell them, because we want as many people saved as we can, because we know that with what Forerunner talked about this morning, which is getting pretty bad, where they're going to have these Satan clubs for these children after school. That's when he gets to the weakest people. And the children like that are very weak because they don't know. They're young. And that's where he's going to get them first. So we need to keep our children safe too. And I highly recommend homeschooling some of your children if you can. Fortunately for me, my children are out of school. They're married and have children of their own. I'm only concerned about my daughter's two little boys, because they go to public school in St. Louis, and I don't want anything happening to them. And I told her about it this morning. So I'm hoping that she's aware and that she will do something if that happens, take those boys out of school. But my own children, I don't have to worry about them. They've been married and out of school a long time now. Both of my kids did go to Adventist school for a time, not for very long, for a few years, and then we sent them, because it was expensive to send both of them to church school, so then we sent them to public school. But at that time, things weren't happening like they are now. You didn't hear a lot of the things that's going on now, like the LGBT and things like this. They weren't pushing things back then like they are now. So I just highly recommend that you people watch your children and share with them the love of Jesus and the Bible, and read to them from the Bible, and give them Bible stories. Now at one time, I don't know if I do anymore, but at one time I had the Bible stories, Arthur Maxwell's bedtime stories that I would read to my kids when they were little. You know, and they really liked those. I don't know if you can still get them anymore, but they're very good. And I also had I don't know how many of the Bible stories. There was also Bible stories that I would read them too. They enjoyed both of that. And I think that helps them as they grew up, because then they understood about Jesus a little bit better, and especially my son. I'll tell you a little bit about him. When he was a teenager, he got in with the wrong crowd. They smoked and they drank, although he didn't smoke, but he did drink. And he got himself drunk, and he put his hand through walls and stuff like that. And his dad and I really didn't know what to do with him. You know, we tried to talk to him, but, you know, when teenagers are a certain age, you can't really talk to them because they know everything. Well, so did he. Well, I guess after a time, he realized that he wasn't doing right, because he left the group of people that he was running around with, and he did come back into the church. And he made a statement to me one day. He says, Mom, he says, I came back into the church because of you. You were an influence on my life. And that really made me feel good because I didn't know how much of an influence I was on him. I tried to bring him up right. I talked to him about Jesus and things like that. But I know I must have done something right because he came back into the church because of me. And he's now an elder of the church. He preaches once in a while in church, which he will be doing the end of October again. And I'll remind people before that time comes to come in that Periscope on that Sabbath, because he'll be preaching on the Reformation again, because that'll be close to Reformation Sabbath. Anyway, I'm so happy that at least he came back into the church now. It's my daughter that's another thing that she needs to come back to Jesus too. She knows about the Sabbath and stuff, but yet she does things that she shouldn't do. And she's one of these kind of people that you can talk to her, but she doesn't want to listen all that much. All she wants to do is do her own thing. And I've tried to tell her, you know what you're supposed to do on the Sabbath. Now her and her husband, and at the time she only had 2 kids, and they lived with me for about 9 months. Actually, no, they had 3 kids at the time, 3 boys, and the youngest one hadn't been born yet. And the kids would want to do things on the Sabbath that I didn't appreciate. And I told them, I says, you can't do things like that on the Sabbath. You know, you can't do what you want to do. They didn't like it too well. In fact, the middle boy, he wants nothing to do with Christianity at all. I'm not sure about the older one, but the middle boy doesn't want anything to do with Christianity. He won't follow me on Facebook because I post I share too many things on religion. And I told my daughter, I says, that's not going to stop me from sharing religion just because he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. It's sad, but I just need to pray for him that he'll come back, because he just doesn't realize that the ramifications of not accepting Jesus and not doing what he should be doing. And they were in Pathfinders. Both boys were in Pathfinders at one time too. Oh, just a minute, I have to pick this up. And so they know a little bit about the church and about Pathfinders and stuff, but I don't know. It's just so hard to get kids nowadays, and they're neither one of them are. Well, actually, the middle boy, he's 19, so he knows enough, and his older brother will be 22 in March. So they both old know, but they just don't want to do it. They do their own thing. They play video games. Well, except the middle one, I guess he is going to college now. And his older brother, though, he loves playing video games, and he's not into church at all. So we need to pray for them too. They're both, and remember them in prayer if you can. It's Andrew and Jared, and they need our prayers desperately, because I don't know what's going to happen to them. I'm afraid that Satan's going to take them, and they're not going to be able to get out of it, because they just don't realize what's happening. So that's why I say we need to be very, very careful with our children, that we need to bring them up right. We need to keep them in the faith, read to them, study with them, and things like that. And then we'll have no problem at all. And it pays off when you have a child like I had that decided to come back to the Lord because of my influence. I knew I had done something right. I still don't know what I did, but I did something that brought him back, and I'm so thankful for that. But anyway, we know the time coming is going to be a terrible time. We're in perilous times now, but when that mark of the beast hits, it's even going to be worse yet. Not for those that are in the Lord, but for those that are not. We know what's going to happen to those ones that take the mark. And we don't want to be amongst those ones that take the mark. And for those that may not know, once you take the mark, you're automatically lost. And if we don't take the mark, we can't buy or sell. Well, that's fine, because God said our bread and water will be sure. We're going to have to flee anyway. We don't know how long that's going to be before we have to flee. But I don't think it's going to be very, very long around the corner before we have to flee and go to the mountains. And I'm raring to go. If an angel comes and gets me, I'm raring to go. Take me where I need to go. So, and also, like I said the other day, I've also prayed to the Lord that if I can't make it during the time of trouble, if I'm struggling or whatever, I pray to let Him put me to rest, because I guess from what I've read, and Ellen White had said that the older people are going to be taken care of during that time. So I would rather be laid to rest than take the mark by accident. And we already know that there's a lot of Adventists that are going to lose their salvation because they're going to be scared of that time. They don't want to be killed, martyred, or what have you. So they'll take the mark, not realizing, well, they're gonna die anyway, and hellfire is going to be a lot worse than being martyred, because it'll be a terrible thing. Its fire is going to be very, very hot. And who wants to be in there with Satan? I wouldn't want to be there with Satan at all. And that's the problem. A lot of people are lost to this day. We know that there's a lot of Satanists out there. There are a lot of Satan churches, and that's what's sad about that too. That there's so many of those churches out there, and Satan just dearly loves that. And I won't give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to go to any Satan churches. I don't want to check them out online or anything like that, because I want nothing to do with them. You know, Alice A. Bailey, she was a Satanist, and Aleister Crowley. We know those people aren't going to make it because of what they were. So, and we don't want to be like them. We want to stay true to God and stay true to the Bible. And I suggest you guys read your Bible every day, because it'll draw you closer to the Lord. Actually, it makes your day go much, much better. It does mine. It may not be perfect, and Satan still wants to attack me, but one thing about it, when you have your Bible open, Satan will not bother you. He can't stand the Bible. You read it, he leaves you completely alone. He flees. But you know something? He knows the Bible better than we do. He knows about the Ten Commandments. He knows about the Sabbath, and that's why he's on us so bad, because he doesn't like the Sabbath. And he probably just loves it that the Catholics are going to institute the Sunday law, and people won't be keeping the Sabbath, but we still have to try to keep the Sabbath anyway. We won't be able to worship on Sabbath, but I'm certainly not going to go to church on Sunday, because that's the wrong thing to do. So we're going to have to be very, very careful. That time is coming upon us quick. I know somebody asked me last night when it will be. I can't really say. I don't really know. I mean, can't put dates on anything. All we know is the time is very, very short. And like I said, I've been an Adventist over 40 years, and I didn't even know if it'd come in my lifetime. But I can see the way things are happening with all these mass shootings and the police killings and things like that, things that are happening all the time around the world, that his coming is very, very close. But he is not going to come until we're all ready. And we have to be ready. We have to be ready and stay ready. We can't let Satan take us down, because once he takes us, we're not going to be able to get out of it, because he'll take us down. So, like I said, he'll take you where you don't want to go and have you do things that you don't want to do. We don't want that, because Satan is a very bad deceiver, and he'll deceive everybody into thinking that what we're doing is wrong, or what we're doing is right. Especially the ones that are on Sunday. He's going to make them think that what they're doing is right, and he knows good and well that they're not. And they think they're doing right because they don't know. I mean, the priests and cardinals and what have you don't tell the Catholic Church what they're doing is wrong, and none of the other Protestant churches either. And my thing is this: there's supposed to be Protestant churches out there protesting, but yet they're not, because they're following the Catholic Church. They're honoring Sunday. That is not protesting. They're following the Mother Church, and that's why they're wandering after the beast. They don't really realize it. And I just hope that some of these pastors will start realizing what they're doing, getting back into the Bible, and start reading Daniel and Revelation, even if it means losing their congregation on Sabbath morning or Sunday morning, whatever it might be. Tell the truth, because they are held accountable for all that they don't do, And like I said last night, God's only going to hold you accountable for what you know. If you don't know something, he's not going to hold you accountable for that. But if you know something and you refuse to do it, that's when it's going to be dire consequences. You'll lose your salvation, and we don't want that to happen. So we need to stand by God and not let Satan take us down, because he's out to steal our crowns as much as he can. Because we as Adventists are having a rough time of it. We know we're going to be persecuted, and I think it's happening already. There's going to be a terrible shaking, and it's going to be more from within than from without. Even our family members are going to be against us. Mother against daughter, father against son, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, things like that. So we have to be prepared for that and stand true. I have one daughter-in-law, and I have one son-in-law. I don't know how things are going to go. If they're going to turn against me, I'm going to still stand fast anyway. And no matter what, that's what we have to do. We have to stand fast no matter what. We can't let them take us down, because that's exactly what Satan's wanting to do. He's a very deceptive little slewfoot, as I call him. He knows what he's doing, but yet people don't realize how strong Satan is. And these people that say that Satan doesn't exist, well, as far as I'm concerned, he has them, because they don't believe he exists in the first place. And they don't realize that they're in Satan's grasp, and he's not going to let them go. And I don't want to be in his grasp under no circumstances. I don't think any of you do either, because, wow, he's terrible. I never realized at the Garden of Eden how he was going to be, but when he deceived Adam and Eve, that's where it all started. Sin started right then and there, and it's been going on ever since. And look how many people have yielded to Satan, and they continue to yield to Satan. You have atheists that come into Forerunners, Periscopes, and Dr. O's, and I think I've even had a few come into mine that'll say that God isn't real. Well, I'm here to tell you that God is real. So if there's anybody here that thinks that God's not real, look around you. Look at the trees. Look at the flowers. Look at the sky, the clouds. Where do you think they came from? They came from God. They didn't come from anything else. They're not man-made. None of them are. The trees, flowers, the sun, the moon, the stars, none of it's man-made. It's all from God. It shows his handiwork each and every day. It's a beautiful day right now. Sunshine. And it shows to me God's handiwork in the sun. And at night, when you see the moon, it goes to show you his handiwork at night on the moon. How bright. And also the rainbow after rain. We don't get too many of those here, but we've had them a few times. But they are just absolutely gorgeous. And I look at those and I say, what a beautiful handiwork in that rainbow. All the beautiful colors. And I've seen them sometimes when I go down the road in other places. You know, I used to live up by Portland, Oregon. It seemed like they would get more there than we get here in Eugene. For some reason, they sometimes get more rain. But anyway, the rainbow was just absolutely beautiful. Now, I don't know the exact colors of how they are listed. I know there's a certain color coordination. I mean, how the colors are. But anyway, they're just beautiful. All the colors, so vibrant. And now that I've had my cataract surgery, even more so. Back then, they didn't look as pretty as they would now. I mean, the sun is prettier now than it used to be. And I can see colors a lot better. And I love the fact that God has his handiwork in everything. And it's just absolutely beautiful. And so I want you all to remember that what we're here on this earth for. We're here on this earth to help others. And we have to be willing to help others. I'm sorry, I put my sunglasses on. The sun got a little bright. We have to be willing to help others. And if it's feeding the homeless, like Shabar's doing, or whatever, feeding the homeless, do that. Right now I've got some done, but I made some hats and scarves for the homeless that I'm going to start taking with me to church on Sabbath and handing out, because we sometimes get the homeless into our church sometimes on Sabbath morning looking for blankets or things to wear, and so I'm going to hand some of those out, keep them with me, and I come across a homeless person, I'll give it to them, because that's what we're supposed to do. God says if you help the stranger, you're helping him. You're doing for God. And that's what I want to do. And I think you all want to do the same thing too. We just need to do our part. And that's why I do these periscopes. I'm trying to do my part to try to get the message out. Even though I'm not a preacher, even though Jamal calls me a preacher, or Shabar does, I'm not really a preacher per se in the pulpit. But I ask the Lord before I even come on the periscope to give me the words to say, because I'm not eloquent in speech. I feel like Moses did back in Egypt, when God told him to ask Pharaoh to let the people go. He said he wasn't eloquent in speech. He didn't know what to say. But God gave him the words to say, and he's also given me the words to say. He's helping me through this. And I thank all of you for being there for me and supporting me in this, because it's not an easy time for me, since I'm kind of on the shy side, and I always have been my whole life, but I guess I'm finally coming out of my shyness being on here, and I've got so many supporters, and you have my back when it comes to the trolls, because I don't always catch them, and I thank you for that you do catch the ones that I don't. Although I did catch a couple last night, but I will have to go back and watch the replay to see if there's any I missed that I didn't get. But I do appreciate all of you coming in and supporting me and being here for me, because I can't do it without you. And even if I just had one person come into my scope and that person listened and they studied their Bible and they accepted, it would be well worth it. But I want to try to get as many of my scopes as I can. I have a lot of followers, but not all of them come in the scope, and I realize that they're not going to be able to at the same time because of their work schedule and things like that. But I'm thankful. I mean, I had over 200 last night in my first one, and the second one, when I came back on, I had 150. So it's not too bad. I appreciate and I give God all the glory for it, because it's only Him that's doing it. He's helping me. He's encouraging me to get on these periscopes and talk about things that I would not normally talk about otherwise. And because I want to help as many come to the Lord as I can. I know it's not me doing it; it's the Holy Spirit that's guiding them. But I'm just doing my part to try to get this message out to those people, so that they too will accept Jesus and not be lost. So I'm almost home now, and I'm getting a little tired and stuff. So I think I will stop this Periscope now. But I want to thank all of you for coming in, the replay viewers as well as the live viewers. Take care. God bless. I love you all, and bye-bye.